Hi, good morning. I'd like to share. I think one of the best lessons that I've learned from people who are uh, more knowledgeable than me, and that's a lot, is how to learn complicated matters in a speedy manner. This is important because at work, we normally have overload of information that we need to master for us to be able to do our jobs well. And all throughout the years, I've been applying that. And even though I do not encounter any such need for me to learn things quicker, uh, I always train my mind to do that because you need to always be prepared to learn new things. One good thing is uh, about learning things that you are not normally good at. I recall when I was younger, I thought I wasn't that good in mathematics, but I chose to take up engineering and eventually went to graduate school to master mathematics simply because I wanted to turn my weakness into a strength. And I've been benefiting from that ever since I started working, uh, when I deal with people, etc. And that gives you uh, a sense of confidence in dealing with people. So I'd like to talk about a subject matter that could be complicated if you're not familiar with economics or the banking sector. I'm talking about the concept in the movie The Big Short. It was a great movie, and it talked about the the housing crisis that happened in the United States sometime in 2005, 2006, and eventually culminated in September of 2008, where the U.S. government, the Federal Reserve, has to bail out some of the big banks in the United States. So, in The Big Short, it talks about primarily about a hedge fund manager who betted against the housing industry. Basically, if you put that in a context that can easily be understood, he placed a bet that Mayweather will lose a bout. And that's practically almost impossible to happen because, as we all know, Floyd Mayweather never lost a fight, right? So let's go down to some of the details, and I will make sure that I simplify it. So let's start with how people in the US file for loan to get a house and leave the American dream, so to speak. So it has been a practice already in the United States that for families to go to a lender, to a bank, and apply for a loan for them to be able to buy a house to fulfill their American dream. So uh, that happens on a daily basis. So if I were a lender, I will underwrite and process the loan and eventually fund the house. Uh, and the buyer would then leave his or their dream to uh, to be prosperous, etc., and live the life that they really wanted. So these banks accept these loans, and eventually, uh, these banks or lenders would sell these loans to an investment bank. Uh, so what happens is these investment banks pays the lender and the bank so that they could lend more to those prospective buyers of houses. So it's a good rigor, it's a good practice because it's a win-win situation. And these investment banks who now have this bunch of loans, uh, what they did was to lump up all of these debts into securities, which they call mortgage-backed securities or MBS. So in turn, investors, third parties, would buy these securities because eventually these securities are a little bit safe because uh, who would think that the housing industry in the United States would collapse, right? So it's a safe investment. So these MBS are uh, are categorized into tranches. So we have the senior tranche, which is the safest, normally the triple A rated set of debts. And then we have the mezzanine somewhere in between. And then the equity or junior tranche, which is the riskiest among the three. But of course, as we all know, in investing, the riskier the investment, the higher the rate of return, right? So it has been going on and on. And these investment banks keep on selling this MBS to in third-party investors, right? But of course, there are certain loans that are rated triple C or triple B, where no investors would dare to buy those MBS. So these investment banks lumped those together and created what we call CDOs or collateralized debt obligations. And these are rated again by these rating agencies like Standard and Poor's, Moody's, etc. And these are presented as new products to other investors. So this process goes on and on and on. And again, some of the CDOs that are rated triple Bs or triple Cs uh, are not bought by investors. And again, they lump those and created what they call CDO square or synthetic CDOs. And again, when you lump all of those together, the rating agencies would rate them triple A, triple B, triple C, etc. So investors would be enticed to buy all of these. So again, the process went on and on. At some point, sometime in 2005, uh, if we go back to the story of the Big Short, there was this hedge fund manager by the name of Michael Burry who started to research on the housing or the mortgage industry in the U.S. And based on his findings, there were some loans that were approved uh, for house buyers who are not actually capable of paying them back. And when he researched into the nitty-gritties, some of these loans have been given to people who are absolutely not capable of paying them. And eventually, to simplify it, he is now predicting that the mortgage industry would collapse. So what he did was he went to some investment banks and betted against the housing industry, wherein they created what we call a CDS, another derivative. Uh, so it's a credit default swaps, wherein he will pay premium to those investment banks. Uh, and when uh, or if the housing industry would collapse, they would pay him back uh, premium or based on the contract. Let's say the contract is 1 billion. So this investment bank would pay him one again based on the contract. Let's say 1 billion. Should the crash happens, which eventually did. And at the time when he was paying premiums to these big banks, they thought it was free money because, again, going back to my analogy, who would think that uh, the housing crisis would fail, right? So, so that's what happened in The Big Short, and uh, that's how it all started. And eventually, the federal government bailed out those big banks that experienced trouble when this housing crisis happened. So hopefully, I was able to simplify this complicated matter. And piece of advice to anyone: try to continue improving your skills, learn new things, improve your confidence. The only way you can improve your confidence is by learning and being knowledgeable on matters that are important to you, especially in your work. All right. Hope you view my other videos, especially the videos on leadership, Six Sigma, etc. So bye for now. Thank you.